Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you all for being here. There's an esteemed panel here in front of you, excluding your moderator, and I want us to take a little bit of time to appreciate each one of them. So I'll share a little about each of you, and then we'll dive in. We're gonna have a totally authentic conversation. Don't expect a bunch of scripted mumbo jumbo. We're going to bounce off ideas off of each other and hopefully have a conversation that is not soon forgotten. So with that, Miss Candii Woodson-Witchard. She's the director of media at AT&T and leads the media strategy business for Cricket Wireless. 20 plus years of a career spanned offline and digital media with a particular focus on performance-driven marketing, brand development, and multicultural strategies. Hailing from Furman University and Mercer University, Atlanta, GA, Miss Candii Woodson-Witchard. All right. Thank you for being here, Candii.
Thank you.
Well, we also have Miss Cynthia Clevenger, SVP of B2B Marketing at Tubi, five-time Cannes Lion winner, prestigious Super Clio Award winner, 5 Effies to her credit. She's an Oregon State alum from Nevada and living in San Francisco, my neck of the woods. Welcome, Miss Cynthia. And we have my man Juan Bonilla. This guy here is the president of Walter Isaacson. They have such accounts that you might have heard of, little companies like McDonald's or Lexus or American Airlines. We won't debate that issue because we have United Airlines. But he has a really good airline. He's a Wesleyan alum. He's from the Bronx, but living in Manhattan now, Mr. Juan Bonilla.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
And last but not least, we have Miss Jaime Robinson. She is the co-founder of and CCO of JOAN Creative and JOAN Studios, an independent agency of the year, small agency of the year. They have Brawny and the WNBA and eBay and Red's Burritos, hailing from George Washington University, living in Jersey and from Jersey, Miss Jaime Robinson.
All right, Jersey.
So I hope I've credentialized the fact that these people are the bomb. They know what they're talking about. They live on the brand side. They live on the agency side. And rarely do you have a conversation where the two sides get a chance to opine about the exact same issue. For those of us who are in the industry every day, there's a different view depending on what side of the table you're sitting on sometimes. But authenticity is one of those things that we talk about a lot, all of us. I think I posted recently that it might be one of the most overused words in advertising. So let's begin by trying to debunk a little bit of this. What does it actually mean? Anyone?
What does it mean?
What does authenticity in marketing actually mean? What does it mean?
I mean, I would say for us, authenticity is really everything that our brand stands for. And I think that it's less about defining it in a singular way, and it's more about how every single one of our consumers, users, partners thinks about our brand. And so I think it is about the connection versus a singular definition. Because I think it means something different to everyone else.
Okay, all right. I love that answer.
Yeah, I think it's from thinking from the perspective of being on Cricket, I think it's really about showing up who you are from the very core of who you are. And I think, to your point, one of the things I was talking about yesterday, it's who you are, but also who your consumers and your customers perceive you to be. And so that's kind of showing up authentically.
Okay. What does the agency folks say about this magical word?
I mean, to us, authenticity, you know, in its most basic terms, is about being real and and it's about the truth. And being able to represent the truth of the consumer and being authentic to how you represent them and making sure that you are dimensionalizing them in a way that feels authentic and real in all of its complexities. And again, we deal with truths and not tropes, right? So that's what authenticity means to us. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I like that.
I'm with that.
I love it.
That's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt.
It is a t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Not tropes. I think, just out of these answers, which are amazing, I think it's really about also walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And so if a brand is going to be about something, one of the things that we like to do is help them understand where in your across your business can you apply this philosophy, this thought, this feeling, this personality. Where can you, how can you activate it? How do you build communities around it? How do you create social around it? How do you make entertainment around it? And then also we'll talk about the ads. So I think it's really also about being it and living it, truthfully.
So I love that you said that,
Yeah.
and I want to come to you next on this particular question because you not only work with brands with your amazing organization, JOAN, but you also are the founder of a brand. And so I would love your perspective on how does authenticity differ brand to brand and then large organization to maybe smaller or founder-led organization. Can you give us some perspective on that?
Absolutely. So brand to brand, it's really important to really put yourself in the mind space of that brand. I think I come from a creative background, and a lot of creatives really want to just put their tone of voice and their personality on the brand. And you're like, honey, you can't be making edgy work for Pampers. I'm sorry. Like, you have to or whatever it is. That's, you have to really think about what's right for the brand. I think one of the things that's really interesting as a founder, because you've asked this, is working with founder-led organizations. If I work with I have for example, the Red's Burrito right now. That is a founder-driven company, and the brand that we're starting to put meat around what that brand is, but it really has to come from that founder, Mike. And we're really finding it we did some things, and he was like, I don't think we would say that, and then I was realizing over time, it was like, oh, I don't think I would say that is what he was saying. And so we're trying to bring his life and his light through the brand. And that's actually wonderful because he's a very interesting person with a very obsessive and hilarious personality. So it makes it interesting for us. But I think that it's quite different when you work with a founder-led organization because often they built the company and they want to put their stamp on it. And what that brand is really authentic to them.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'd like to open up to you all on this front because, to your exact point, founder-led brands are often rooted in who the founder is or what he or she wanted it to be. Oftentimes, these cute little babies grow into much bigger, larger teenage organizations and then full-grown adult organizations, and the founders go away. We did some work with Papa John's, and Mr. Papa John was synonymous with the brand, and then he did some things that the brand did not want to be associated with him. And so how then do you transition from a founder identity to something else for the brand to live? Do any of you have any perspective on how brands transition from maybe an initial core authenticity to something a bit different for the modern era or a different phase of a business's growth?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to speak on that from Tubi's perspective. And when I joined 5.5 years ago, we were still independent. Our founder was still leading the organization, a guy named Farhad Masudi. And really, his vision was to give all people access to all the world's stories. And we were purchased by Fox in 2020, which is a big change, right?
Say it twice.
It is a big change.
It was the pandemic, purchased by a major media company. And he stayed on. Our CEO now, Anjali Sood, who was from Vimeo, started just about 2 years ago. But what I will say about where our brand has evolved, we have never strayed from that core truth. Because it's worked for our business model. It's the reason why Fox bought us. And it really has helped, like you said, I love the Pampers thing. You can't force something. All of the work that we do on our brand side came from feedback from our users. We honestly, our most recent Super Bowl spot, which I don't have to cue now, but we really hear from people that they love the brand. And what does that mean? Well, to some people it means because they can find things that they can't find anywhere else. They can find things that they can, collaborate with their friends and talk about. It brings community and connection, and that really organically built what the Tubi brand is right now. And so we don't do a lot of actual product marketing. We don't talk a lot about the user. We talk about the experience and your individual experience. And so I think for us, yes, there was a lot of changes, but I'm really proud to say I'm still here because I truly believe that we are delivering on that promise of giving access to all the world's stories to everyone.
Love it.
Yeah, Candii.
Yeah, I would love to piggyback off on that because it's very similar for cricket, based on a lot of research that we have found that a lot of our customers, once they get with us, they stay with us. We have really, really good retention. And so through that kind of like metric that we kind of pulled out and doing some surveys and some studies, we ended up actually developing a whole campaign where we actually had current cricket customers be the advocates for us. It was called the Testimonial Campaigns. We launched it a few years ago. And so we had actual customers, like every single person in the ad was an actual customer. And they were advocating for the brand. And what was so beautiful about the campaign, one, we used our actual customers, but also we gave them a limelight too, right? And so that helped empower them further, and we were helping to give our customers more than just our phone plan and a service.
I love that. I mean, I was going to come to you next, so this is the perfect segue because you're in a different market space. You are a major telco that has a beautiful sub-brand that's doing quite well. You guys have leaned into humor and fun as part of the brand, and it's very distinct from AT&T, which is beautiful and blue, but you guys are not that. You have a very
beautiful and green.
Beautiful and green.
Beautiful and green.
Young, fun, hip. So you target a specific demographic. I'm curious, how do you lean into authenticity, even maybe in media placement, in a way that connects with the audience without typecasting them or feeling too targeted or maybe even patronizing?
No, that really makes sense. And I feel like that is a very distinct line, right? And it's something that in meetings we are always talking about. I think the beauty about cricket, and I'm just so lucky to be able to like work on this brand. The beauty about cricket is that it's deeply embedded.
Pause. Do all of you guys know about Cricket Wireless? Do you want to spend 30 seconds describing how it's different than like your
It's very
typical
distinctly,
telco?
it's very distinctly different.
I didn't want to disrupt your thing, but I want to make this context that's important to understand about
Yeah, so it's deeply embedded in our DNA. Like even, you were just talking about this, like even when you walk into the building, people are like, when we come over to cricket, the AT&Ters will come over to cricket, we're like, you guys are just so happy. You guys are just so happy, and everybody's walking around in green. And so from one of the things is our audience is very diverse, right? So when you talk about growth audiences and multicultural, it wasn't like we were trying to force ourselves into a certain place. It was who we were. It was who we were. It was our customers. It was our employees. And so when we did initiatives, we ran it across the entire company, not just forward-facing advertising, but in the company, everybody was on board and rallying against whatever goal we were going towards. And so when we talked about, like again, going back to the multicultural audience, the Black and U.S. age audience is huge for us. And we were one of the first brands to partner with HBCUs before it became popular. Before it became popular, and we still have that relationship to this day. And so one of the things that we find in the U.S. age and the Black audience is like they are deeply focused on community. And so you cannot just come to them and try to sell them something, right? They can like read through that BS. They're like, whatever, what are you doing for me and what are you doing for my community? And so you have to show up authentically, not just in the advertising, but how in the advertising are you tying it back to investing in their community and empowering their community? A few years back, we did a campaign called The Change Makers, where we were highlighting Black, specifically underrepresented folks with even in the Black audience, right? So highlighting females, LGBTQ, and so we were highlighting those folks and helping to empower them. We don't give people a voice. They had a voice already. I hate when people say that. We give them a voice. No, they have a voice already. You're giving them a platform for their voice to be heard.
Yes. Say it. So this is, speaking of giving people a platform, I want to give my man Juan one right now, because this concept around growth audiences, Black and brown communities, et cetera, is something that Walter Isaacson's been built on for the last 20 years. It's about principles of diversity and diverse perspectives, something that we both share and agree on a lot, even though we don't agree on our favorite airline choices. How do you think brands should show up authentically without being performative and without being tropey?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think, number one, what agencies are really adept at is actually helping clients build a brand, right? Just double-clicking a little bit back on your question about just making sure that you have a tightly defined mission statement, to your point, a set of values, and really just being like a dog on a bone about making sure that if this is the mission and vision and sticking to that, and I think that's sticking to that makes you able to future-proof the brand beyond just like a legacy owner. So I wanted to just talk a little about that.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Ari Walton, who's the founder here, and the mission of the agency was always around diversity being a creative superpower, and not just diversity in terms of like ethnicity and races, but also diversity of thought. And that concept will never go away. I don't care what people say about D&I.
Yeah.
That is not a four-letter word to me. That is actually business building. So for us, it's just making sure that, again, the growth audiences are the multicultural audiences. So you just have to make sure you are, being respectful, paying homage to like their real experiences, not dealing in tropes, and just making sure that too, like the multicultural audience has evolved so much from 20 to 30 years ago, and just making sure you're dimensionalizing to your point earlier, that the Black experience is not just one singular experience. For Lexus, a lot of times we like to portray the Black male audience in terms of Black joy, because a lot of times it's being depicted as just a struggle. And I'm like, that's just one-dimensional view. There's a lot of beauty and joy that, at the end of the day, the Black audience is really like, trend-setting and creating like, culture.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we play homage to that. Same thing with LGBTQ audience. Like when we do, let's call it pride events, not every experience for LGBTQ is about a parade. There's so many other dimensions of the identity that you have to make sure you're like being respectful for. So to us, it's about pushing that authenticity and making clients take risks and being brave. I mean, because at the end of the day, I think right now we're living in a world of neutrality and conformity. And I just feel like a lot of that is getting lost, and we're not respecting our consumers the way we should.
And I think that translates to how you target your audience as
100.
well.
Absolutely.
These are layers, not lanes,
Yes.
right? Like it's so true. And I mean, when we think about how we connect with our consumers, we have 100 million monthly active users.
Yeah.
We are truly like a map of America, right? And there is something that every single person can find their own unique experience. And so we don't kind of curate things. We let people discover and build with their own, because just because you live in a certain area or you look like somebody doesn't mean that translates to what gives you joy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Customization.
Yeah, I mean, I want to touch. I have a whole idea around digging into this question of the ability to personalize your spaces, because I think that by itself leads to a question about how authenticity can show up, especially as it relates to marketers and how marketing works. But before we move on to that, Jaime, any thoughts on this part of the conversation around tropes and how best to help brands be bold? That's sometimes hard to do.
Okay, well, I think first of all, it starts with looking at who you have working, from my perspective, who you have working on the work and who you have exposed to the work. And we never do anything for a community of any type without having members of that community on the team. Representation on the team.
Amen to that.
Because, it's really, I mean, first of all, at the very least, it's, you want to avoid disasters, but also thinking about the rich insight you get from people from the community. I mean, I think sometimes it's hard because I've been the sole woman on a team before for women's projects and been like, I guess I'm representing all women here, and I think that is, I'm like, boy, that's a lot of friggin' responsibility, right?
I've been the only Black dude a lot, and I'm not creative or a strategist, but like, let me tell you about strategy and creative right now, as a brother in the room.
I know, man, I know. And I think it's a lot of pressure, but I think that's why it really needs to amass a diverse group of people. people, because otherwise, how boring, and also you lose the opportunity to really connect deeply with really anybody. And so I think that that's the one thing I would say. I would also say when you ask for people to be bold, for brands to be bold, I honestly feel that brands need to be bold right now, and whether or not you are brave enough to be out there and standing for this. Okay, I understand that there's some repercussions.
Yep.
You have to still talk to these communities, talk to everybody, making sure you are casting a broad net, a wide reach. And I honestly think it's time. I think brands need to step up.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
I couldn't agree more. I want to ask you a bit about, I'm pointing to my friend Cynthia here, about ROI. Because like it is fine and dandy. It's really good for us to sit here and talk about why authenticity matters. But someone, somewhere, maybe our CFOs are going to say, but how the hell do you measure that? And is it actually effective?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's difficult to communicate. So talk to me a bit about, is there an ROI? How do you judge it? I know you have some really cool data tools.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I think we are a technology-first company, and we're an entertainment company, but we have a lot of data on our users, and we have a lot of content on our platform. So we have 275,000 movies and TV shows, right? And so I think that authenticity is an emotion, it's a feeling, but we also have a lot of data to help inform us about how we meet people where they are.
Right.
And so we take a very different, that informs everything that we do. That's a very different approach to programming. So we think about it as, instead of broadcasting, narrowcasting.
Okay.
So we started making original content.
Have you coined that phrase, narrowcasting? Is that like,
We got a lot
can
of
we use
t-shirts.
that?
Yeah, that is also a good t-shirt.
I gotta
But-
give that up to our chief content officer, Adam Lowenstein. He said that. But look, I think we started making originals about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we have 400 originals about to date. Some of them are big budget, some of them are lower budget, some of them are independent filmmakers. They're all very different, but there's one thing that they have in common. We found data that found that this is what people like. This is what this subset of our users likes. So let's make more of it, right? And news stories that build upon the stories that they love. We have 275,000 movies and TV shows. 1 in 4 users watch a Tubi original each month.
Wow.
That is crazy
That's
if you
amazing.
think about the massive size of our library. So that right there is ROI. That right there then tells us we should go and put budget against these types of content, and these types of independent filmmakers. So for us, we see it in the data.
Yeah. Well, the data's the data. It's hard to argue that. Any other thoughts from the group on how to measure the value of authenticity? Because to your point, Juan, it's very easy to slide to vanilla when you can't justify the flavor. And so we've got to figure out.
Okay, that is a t-shirt. That is a t-shirt.
Rose at the Carlton will bring out 1 or 2 in the course of the morning experience.
Yeah. Look, I think every client is different. To your point, I mean, data is king. For Lexus, I mean, they've been a partner with us for 20 years. And they just became the #1 luxury brand for the Black segment. So that means our work is
right?
working.
I have a Lexus.
Brothers like Lexus, huh?
Yes, they do.
Oh, that's good to know. All right.
But yeah, I mean, I think again, it's the what it says saying about sprint race. I mean, it's a marathon, because I think that's consistency is key. Making sure that there's a commitment, because I think a lot of the times right now I feel like it's a very transactional world in terms of like, I want to sell you something, buy it, but you can't buy into community. Right,
No.
you really have to invest in it, and it's true. Like Gen Z, it's about what you stand for. It's not just what you're selling to me. And I just think, it takes some patience too. But I think at the end of the day, you also just, to your point about being authentic, you have to believe in what you're doing. Otherwise, it's performative. Then, a lot of times we tell our clients, don't do it. I'd rather you not spend that money if you're not really going to commit to this segment or to this program, because otherwise, it's going to not make you look good. So a lot of times we advise our clients not to do something that's not going to be in it all the way.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you're saying, because authenticity is by nature built in the long term. It's a long-term game.
Exactly.
But a short-term decision can undo it all in like that.
100%.
Yeah, just
And
ask,
We're
so-
seeing it this
just
year.
ask,
Yeah.
did you say Target? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, see what happened there.
I didn't mean to.
No, that's so true, and that's one of the things for us. Like, we really have pride ourselves to like not just show up doing the tentpole moments, but how do we really represent and be evergreen and have an evergreen presence? Because to your point, you're building that over time. And some of the things that we really look at, speaking to measurement, is like brand love.
Yes.
Brand love and our brand health metrics, they help to give us an indication, are we on the right track? Are we really resonating with these audiences? And then we're able to tie back, are we growing our margins against those audiences? So real hardcore business metrics. And so to your point, everything's founded in the data, from how we target them to even how we talk to them. And like similar to what you were saying a little earlier, Jaime, all the way to when we're producing an actual ad, we're making sure that the director, all the way to the director, to the talent, is truly representing whatever audience we're talking to at that particular time.
Well, it's interesting you say this. We have the benefit at 72 and Sunny of working with the National Football League, which gives us a chance to have commercials on the Super Bowl every year. And in many cases, more than one. And we've tried to help the league lean more into being authentic to the players and their interests, because that is what the fans actually care about, and less about the shield itself. This past year, we had a spot that I'd love to run that speaks to how to actually move people in a direction by being purely authentic. And we found that when you are able to tap into something personal and familiar to a broad audience, you can actually move the needle forward, even if it's not about selling a good, but getting an action out of the world. So can we show that really quickly, and then we can dive into some other things.
All right, ready, you guys? You guys gotta be loud, though, okay? Hey, let's go! Let's go! Okay, repeat after me.
Yes, sir.
I am somebody.
Somebody.
I may be young. But I am. Somebody.
Somebody.
I may be small.
I may be small.
But I am.
Somebody.
My clothes are different.
Clothes are different.
My face is different.
My face is different.
My hair is different.
My hair is different.
But I am. Somebody.
Somebody.
I must be respected.
I must be respected.
Protected.
Protected.
Never rejected.
Never rejected.
But I am.
I am.
Somebody.
Somebody.
I am. Somebody. I am. Somebody. I am. Somebody.
Somebody.
No, but I have seen that with
for
some of
sure.
like the NFL teams, just following them from a social media perspective. And I love hearing from the players and seeing kind of like their real-time interactions on the field. And
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll say this, that like we've done a lot. Fox Sports is our sister company in the portfolio, and we've leaned in from like complementary perspective or incremental for advertisers and viewers. Whereas, for example, with the Super Bowl this year, Tubi simulcast the Super Bowl, which was incredible.
which was great.
A very different audience than that was watching it on the broadcast. They were younger, tended to be more female. And what was really interesting is that we did a couple things. Before the game, we programmed our own pregame show that was a little bit more about the lifestyle and the culture around the Super Bowl. So Olivia Culpo hosted a red carpet. Where we had the actually fashion editor from the NFL there talking about the fits, interacting with people who came. And then after the game, we went over to the game, and where we really saw things spike was during the halftime. I think the game was boring, right? And I think there was a large section of America who was watching on TV and was like, didn't relate and turned the TV off. We saw our numbers jump. And it is like Kendrick Lamar fucking crushed it. And now every little baseball kid who is in suburban America is using "They're Not Like Us" as their walk-up song.
That's exactly right.
So it's just it's crazy to see those things, and I really appreciate how we again thought about how we programmed, what we brought, and the experience that we have for users, for the audience that loves Tubi and is coming to Tubi for.
Can I also add that you're leaning into the culture? The segment.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's the big differentiator and opportunity is to make sure you're not reflecting it per se, but at least leaning into it, respecting it, and amplifying it.
And
Yeah.
honestly,
And being authentic to it.
But
Yeah.
I would say not unintentionally. Like, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, a lot of
Yeah.
what we do and a lot of what our marketing is comes from social,
Yeah.
comes from our fans.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't create the concept of a Tubi movie.
Wow.
And if you've ever heard My
Yes.
Life is a Tubi movie,
Yeah.
okay, well, you could try to be, well, maybe we want to be perceived as a premium brand because the Netflixes of the world are getting all the ad
Right.
dollars or this. Well, no, we love being a Tubi movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love being
Yeah.
a hot mess.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you know what?
That's
what it's
authentic
good for.
storytelling,
That's
and that's what
authentic
we're
story.
all
Yeah, and that's
about.
why we're
Yeah.
climbing up on the
Sorry.
gate.
That's what you
I
go
wanna
there
see
for
your
Tubi
spot.
for.
The great gift of social, and I absolutely love this. And I was saying this yesterday to somebody. The great gift of social is that you have a focus group that is live
24/7.
constantly, 24/7.
Real
and
time.
if you have enough guts to look at the comments and to brave the fact that there may not be great comments on everything, you can learn so much. And if you learn even that the things that you're doing are not resonating with your audience, then you need to shift
You need to
course.
respond.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
pivot.
for so long, we've had to wait 3 months, 6 months for the brand tracker, for 3 months for the sales results to come in to know, did my TV spot resonate? Man, you know instantly, and you can grab ideas and you can co-create with the audience, and it's delightful. I love it.
Well, that takes me exactly where I want to
Real-time
go. And
feedback.
this might be contentious. I hope it is in some way. Technology. You said something to me in our early call that has been stuck in my craw for now a few days. And you said something along the lines of technology is flattening culture. I read that to mean more vanilla. I think that's a really interesting perspective, and I respect it.
Yeah, no,
on the other end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
I think that social media has given us a platform, an opportunity to narrowcast and micro-segment, which
100%.
means we have the opportunity to make it more flavorful.
100%.
But brands may not be choosing to invest
Right.
in that way. And so I want to have a dialogue
Yeah.
around, is technology helping us become more authentic, or is it forcing us to be less authentic? What say you all?
I mean, what I was trying to say is that I think like data and tech, create so many opportunities to be hyper targeted and hyper creative. So, but I do think right now we're living in a world of algorithms where you said something earlier about the sense of discovery is not where it used to be, and we're being fed content.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of creators are also chasing the clicks and the engagement, right? So that's what I meant that we're flattening culture, because again, we're playing to an algorithm and not playing to what's actually the truth and
Yeah.
being authentic.
Okay.
So I
love
think
that.
there's going to be a
That's-
swing in another direction where creators will find a different way to make sure they're like maybe closing in on like micro influencers are really big, obviously, because I think they have smaller,
Yes.
more trusted communities and they can be their more authentic self versus playing to an algorithm. That's what I meant. It's just right now I just feel like we're flattening a little bit.
No,
the
I
culture.
wasn't upset by it. I was just like, oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think there's maybe the other opportunity
Yes.
for technology to be the part that provides us to be less flat than ever before. What do you all say about this? Is it helping us? Is it forcing us into a more flattened culture, or is it providing us an opportunity to be more cultural, given that you can micro-segment?
I
What say
mean,
you?
I think for us it is additive
Yeah.
and helps inform. I mean, you mentioned something about when you think about the creator space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We built and I'm not sure. Technology is a broad term, so
Yes.
Very broad.
Click. I like that.
Yeah, it is.
So I think it depends on what you're talking about.
Yes.
But for us, we're built on tech. We weren't coming from a traditional production background. We have an ad tech stack is our tech stack. So one of the things that we invested in a year ago is something called Stubios, which is a fan-fueled creator studio. And it's a technology that enables fans who like a creator to greenlight their projects on our platform.
Yep.
We provide humans to mentor them.
People?
Issa Rae and her company are
Yeah, with
mentoring.
Ensemble?
No, Color
amazing.
Creative.
Okay.
She does a lot of them, the original creator,
Yeah,
as she is.
yeah.
And it's helped us build really authentic connections
Yeah.
at scale. on our platform.
Yep.
Because if a creator, some of our creators, and I don't know if any of you know Grant and Ash, they're a comedy duo. They're really funny. They have their own brand of humor, and they have a great community of followers. But now, through technology and through Tubi's tech, they can get their message out to a really broad audience. So I think it enables scale
I agree.
Yeah.
when done right.
Yes.
When done authentic, when you start it from an authentic place. Keelan Campbell is another influencer who, if you guys know who he is, go look on TikTok. It is his own crazy brand. And he's doing a long-form project with us. But that's all because we can use data to inform our platform. We have this community of users, and now let's amplify it at scale through our tech.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, like, that's one of the things that we've been doing as well. Like, really, the creator space is not just like, it's more than just some one-time thing. It is a full-on channel, and it deserves this full-on, like, dedicated marketing strategy. And so with that, it's allowed, the technology we've been using has really allowed us to actually find those micro influencers, right? That really align to our brand. We're able to input, here's our brand, here's our core audience, this is what they look like, here's their demographics, and then find creators that are speaking to those core interests and align with those demographics. And so it's allowing us to have discovery that we wouldn't have been able to have before, and to give opportunities to the micro influencers that would not get the scale or the opportunity because they don't have as many followers.
Yeah, and I will say, since we're talking about creators and influencers, we're eBay's global agency of record, and one of the things that technology allows us to do is we have an influencer practice, and we have amassed a set of 24 really incredible fashion influencers, from micro fashion influencers all the way up to Emma Chamberlain. So they have their communities. Now with our technology, they can have storefronts on eBay.
Right.
So they actually can find and curate items of clothes that then their people can come buy on this on eBay. Without technology, that doesn't happen. Conversely, let's take a look at something that will threaten authenticity. I am a super fan of AI. I really must say this, and I use it all the time in my life as a tool, like all of us, right? As I'm sitting here watching more and more AI content being created and I see it in the world, the more I feel like the flattening of brands, the more I feel like, okay, the whiz-bang feel of the AI is taking over. But where is the soul? And I think one of our real, not to sound woo-woo, but one of our real important missions as these kinds of people on stage, brand marketers and agencies, is to understand the soul of a brand and to bring it to life like a person. 100%. People are flawed. People are, they've met complex, right? They are not just polished and glossy.
They're rich.
They're rich, and I think we have to be very careful as we start to make more and more AI content. How can we make sure that the emotion, the soul, the flawedness, the complexity can live in that? Otherwise, you're going to have a sea of sameness, and it's just going to be who has the biggest media bunch.
And
you
we all
need
turn
to
robotic.
you need to go outside, touch grass, and like get in the comments. Get in the comments.
Well, we're coming to the end of this thing, and I think you've really closed us nicely on the idea that although technology can really be a benefit to us, there are some ever-present risks in it, and one thing it can't do for us is give us soul. It cannot maybe even evoke the emotion that real human contact does, and real humans involved in the process can give us as it relates to authenticity. Because humans are good at a lot of things, but we are excellent at sniffing out bullshit. And fake authenticity does not exist in our world, right?
I think the definition, let me restate, is soul.
It's soul. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been great. I've enjoyed this very, very much. If I could leave you with one thing, I would love to show this piece because I think it speaks to this exact point. I think hopefully you'll find that there was some soul, some emotion involved in this, and you'll see the results on the back end. Can we run it?
Oh, it's a boy. And it looks like he's gonna like Westerns. But what if Westerns aren't hot when he grows up?
Nobody watches Westerns, dork. Good thing we were born to like fantasy. It's the hit genre to binge.
Mr. Memo, tumble dweeb. Pop culture likes pirates now.
Hey, the zeitgeist always shifts.
Howdy. This ain't you, partner.
So beautiful. Yeah.
Wonderful job. AI can't do what
No.
Tubi did.
No.
AI can't do what
Yeah.
we did.
That
I
was a
just-
real cowboy hat. It wasn't AI.
That's not AI.
In my office.
I will just leave you with this, that if you are looking to be authentic, you have to keep in mind the somebodies that you want to talk to. If you can speak to them, then you can be authentic.
I love
With
that.
that, thank you all so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Great.